All Blacks versus Argentina. Jeepers. A hell of a match in the end. Test match rugby at its finest, guys. As per usual, guys, in these review videos, I'm going to be covering four main areas. So firstly, I'll just give you an overview of the test, my thoughts on the game, analysis of both sides. Then I'll then analyse some key players of the match and then finally just give you sort of a summary at the end. So, and hear your thoughts on the game. I think firstly, if we look at an overview of the test, yeah, boy, oh boy, that first half. Now, the All Blacks talked about during the week silencing the Argentinian crowd, coming out hard at them, executing some plays. And I feel like, look, the All Blacks did start well, particularly early on. You know, they got that penalty to Bowden Barrett and then a pretty good try to Sevu Reece in the corner, you know, building that pressure, executing, you know, and then getting that lead. Argentina then, certainly, they came back. And then obviously that brilliant try to Will Jordan, give him a bit of space and he steps inside and then a good inside ball to Cortez Ratama. So I think what you're seeing with Will Jordan is, look, he's becoming a genuinely world-class fullback. To be able to step inside, skin, the speed he has, he's a class a fullback for the All Blacks. And then obviously Sevu Reece scored again before half-time, giving the All Blacks a pretty good lead at half-time, 31-10. Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm interested to know your guys' thoughts on this, but, you know, 10 years ago, if the All Blacks were winning 31-10, it would be shut up shop. There would be no concern at all about the opposition coming back. But I think what you're seeing now, and it's great, is world rugby is so much more competitive and these other international sides are so much better on attack. And certainly at halftime, I thought the All Blacks would be okay, but that Pumas side, they can really, really attack, can't they, guys? You look at that second half, and probably what I'd say about that sort of third quarter, totally dominated by the Pumas, wasn't it? It just seemed a couple of careless errors by the All Blacks, and it just seemed like the All Blacks just were going through the motions rather than just taking it to them. It sort of felt like they stopped playing. But look, you got to give credit to the Pumas. They really brought that physicality after half time. They really took it to the All Blacks and created some space. And look, ultimately, a couple of pretty good tries to the Pumas. And yeah, I mean, certainly I was biting my nails at 31-24 when the All Blacks were winning. I mean, it was anybody's game at that point in time. Certainly if the All Blacks had made a couple of more mistakes at 31-24, I'm sure the Pumas would have scored two more tries and it's a different ball game. But yeah, I think what you're seeing though is, as I said in the player analysis before the game, and hopefully it continues like this, but a much more well-rounded All Blacks side, the starting team and the bench coming off. And I think that's what you saw, you know, particularly the likes of a Samasoni Takiaho coming off the bench. You know, he's a tested international hooker. He's a big lump of a man, and you saw the physicality he brought. And ultimately, that was clinical and key to the All Blacks winning. Him scoring two tries in the last 20 minutes just with those mauls. And look, ultimately, I don't think the scoreboard reflects how close the game was, but a good win to the All Blacks, 41-24. But, you know, a hell of a close game. And look, this game could have gone either way. So, again, let me know your thoughts on the result down below. Guys, if you like the content, show some support for the channel, hit the subscribe button, like the video, chuck some banter down below about the All Blacks, about the Argentinians. Hell of a test match, guys, wasn't it? I think firstly, analysing both sides, if we look at the All Blacks, I think particularly that first half and maybe that final quarter, their set piece and maul was pretty solid. You know, generally their scrummaging was quite effective. And I would say the All Blacks line out feels like it's gone up a level, particularly the influence of a Fabian Holland, you know, over 2 meters tall. That All Blacks line out and Tupu Vai seems to be working a lot more effectively. So good set piece by them. Ultimately, they faced a bit of adversity, but again, a good, strong finish to the All Blacks to score 2 tries in the last 20 minutes was a good result. And particularly, you're starting to see that back line like Bowden Barrett, his experience, the experience of Ratama certainly brought that experience to the All Blacks on attack. You know, if you were going to be honest about the All Blacks. I think very rusty in a number of areas, and particularly their attack. A number of passes just seem to be going to ground, inaccurate, and yeah, look, they will have to be much better against the likes of a Springboks coming into New Zealand in a couple of weeks. I think the other concerning factor for the All Blacks seemed to be their discipline, particularly like 2 yellow cards in the second half, one to Proctor, and then look right at the end, Anton Leonard-Brown, that sort of shoulder charge or tackled the guy without the ball. At test match level, that's just not quite meeting the standards, is it? And particularly for Anton Leonard-Brown, like he's a well tried and tested All Black. So for him not to read the play like that and tackle the guy without the ball and with the head contact, look, they'll have to be much better as the season goes on. I think if you look at Argentina, look, they're a genuinely world-class side, aren't they? And look, ultimately at 31-24 in that second half, the game was definitely in the balance. Shows, if they can just build enough pressure in phases, they've got the physicality to match other sides, and they can create that space and score points. So they're a quality side. And certainly their physicality is well capable of matching, these international sides. I think the biggest challenge for the Pumas, though, was probably just the inconsistency. They well dominated that third quarter, but, particularly that first half and towards the end, just a little bit inconsistent with, the big moments, the mauls, the, missing tackles, and ultimately that inconsistent just at certain parts of the game really hurt the Argentinian side. On another note as well, many of you I've told I'm now a father. So look, you can see this photo here. It was nice to spend a bit of time with my daughter Olivia and to get her in an All Blacks onesie, and it was good that the All Blacks were comfortable enough that she was able to get a little bit of a sleep during the game and not be too stressed out by the All Blacks going too close to losing it. So that's nice for all the parents out there with their kids. It's great to be able to watch sport with your kids like that. Key players from the game. The first one I'd say was Ardie Savea. Boy, oh boy, he is just class, isn't he? He got that really good maul try, particularly in that second half. There was a real key sort of turnover he got out of a maul. He just has that ability to do things that other international players can't do, doesn't he? And particularly the tackles he can break, his work rate around the field, the turnovers he can get. Like, he's just a phenomenal talent, isn't he? And I'm interested to hear your thoughts about this, but I don't think it's biased at all to say if Ardie Savea keeps his form going like he is, he will be the World Player of the Year in 2025. I think he is head and shoulders above any player in 2025, the level that he is playing at. So, again, let me know your thoughts on that about Ardie Savea. Beauden Barrett, look, a couple of things with him really. Like, his goal kicking was spot on. And I just think it's his composure and his experience. The leadership he is bringing to that All Black side on game management, you can really see that. The game management, the cohesion, it's really helping that All Blacks attack. So, unfortunately for Damian McKenzie, I can't see Damian McKenzie starting at first 5 when Beauden is playing like that, the leadership he brings. If there was one thing about the game that I would say, probably his kicking, I felt, but it wasn't just him. The All Blacks kicking and their chase game was a little bit off. When they're putting up their box kicks, it just doesn't seem like they're quite connecting with the chaser as well as they need to be. And the Argentinian players are catching that high ball with little or no pressure, which sort of defeats the purpose of a box kick. So no doubt they'll look to work on that. Again, I'll go back to this, and it's really surprising that I'm talking about this, but the All Blacks wingers. The first one I'd say was Rieko Ioane, and look, he gave away one sloppy penalty, and it just looked like even when he got the ball, he didn't sort of have that raw speed. He didn't seem to catch the ball and carve teams up inside or out, beat that first defender. Yeah, I just question whether he's got that attacking sting like he did when he started his career. Obviously, he's got the experience and he's a tried and tested world-class player, but certainly that All Blacks attack, when they're getting it wide, I don't think it's got the sting that it needs to. The other one I'd say was Sevu Reece, and look, he played well again, but I just question, again, when they get it wide to him as well. Do you have absolute confidence that he's got the raw speed and feet to beat that first defender? I don't think he does. So it'll be interesting to see what Razor does with the back three of the All Blacks. And certainly we're definitely missing the likes of a Mark Talia that seemed to get the ball and just create an attacking opportunity out of nothing. He would generally always skin the first defender, which is genuinely surprising about the All Blacks. I think if you look at that Argentinian side, that Pablo Matera, gosh, he was class, wasn't he? A big man, isn't he? And certainly the defence he brought, his ball carries, physicality and power he brought on attack, very, very effective, and he's a genuine leader to that Argentinian side and really brings energy to them. Look, in summary, guys, a good win in the end to the All Blacks, but, close, 31-24. I thought the game was in the balance. Could have really gone either way. And what's good about this test is it gives both teams a bit for next week. I think there's enough in that performance by Argentina. They'll lick their lips and they'll go again next week and they'll back themselves to beat the All Blacks. And I think the All Blacks have enough there as well. They won't have been happy with that performance completely. They'll go back to the drawing board and they'll look to keep building. So look, I can't wait for another cracking test match next weekend. Guys, if you've enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button, like the video, chuck some more banter down about the All Blacks, the Pumas, what you thought about this game, your thoughts on my comments down below, and yeah, awesome game. Cheers.